Welcome to Eat the Bible, the world's fastest chapter-by-chapter Bible study, powered by Revelation 10:10.
Okay, let's get started. Welcome to Eat the Bible, episode 17, the book of Esther. Like the rest of the Bible, Esther reads like tomorrow's headlines today. It's about things like anti-Semitism, mainstream media censorship, and even quantum theory's ability to flip time on its head, what I call God's script. Esther takes place about 100 years after the fall of Jerusalem and the subsequent deportation of Jews to Babylon. Persia then conquers Babylon. Now, the Jews in this story chose not to return to Israel when they were given the opportunity, but rather they end up putting down their stakes in Persia, which, by the way, is modern-day Iran. Now, if you're still on the fence about life's biggest questions, click on the link. It provides you with everything you need to know to navigate through life's choppy waters. So, are you ready for a meal fit for a king? Okay, let's
Eat Esther.
The Persian king Ahasuerus is like so many godless world leaders, a lover of pleasure. He hosts 180-day parties. As for alcohol, anything goes. Regarding women, when Queen Vashti refuses to become his sex object, the king banishes her. As for Persian culture and media, the king censors anything he doesn't approve of. That's why the name of God is not found anywhere in the book of Esther. With the queen gone, Ahasuerus launches a nationwide search for the most beautiful woman. Esther wins the contest. She's a Jewish orphan who was raised by her first cousin Mordecai. Esther had not made known her people or kindred, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known. One day, Mordecai overhears two guards plotting to kill the king. He reports the crime. They are promptly rounded up and impaled on wooden stakes. His good deed gets recorded in an official government document and then promptly forgotten. We meet Haman, a person we've probably all met somewhere along the way, a miserable person who's in a management position. Mordecai is supposed to bow down when Haman passes by, but he doesn't, which infuriates Haman. Anger opens the brain's portal, allowing Satan to enter and influence our thoughts. So, when Haman discovers Mordecai's Jewish background, he reacts by plotting to kill the entire race. We've seen Satan try this before. Remember when the Jews were slaves in Egypt and Pharaoh commanded the midwives to kill all Jewish newborns? Since the book of Genesis, Satan has known the Messiah will come from the Jews. Anti-Semitism is Satan's middle name. Back to Haman. He starts rolling some dice called Purim, hoping to discern the date to commit mass murder. Remember what God says about so-called random events? The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Finally, Haman persuades the king to issue an edict. On the 13th day of the 12th month, all Jews will be attacked and killed. Mordecai tells Esther it's time to come out of the shadows and plead on behalf of her people. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther realizes she's risking her life by merely approaching the king without prior approval. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. Esther hatches a plan. She invites the king and Haman to a feast. Meanwhile, Haman builds a 75-foot-high wooden stake, planning to impale the unrepentant Mordecai on it. The king just happens to have insomnia that night. He finds a book to read. It's the book that recounts Mordecai's good deed of foiling the assassination plot. The king realizes nobody ever rewarded Mordecai for what he'd done. The next day, the king orders Haman to put royal robes on Mordecai, a crown on his head, set him on the royal horse, and lead him through the streets, proclaiming, "Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." Haman is then rushed to Esther's feast with the king. She points to Haman, announcing he's the one planning to kill her along with her people. The king is enraged, and he has Haman impaled on the very stake he'd set up for Mordecai. There's obviously something prophetic here. Haman represents Satan, of course, and we know God ultimately defeats Satan in the great cosmic battle, suffering uttermost humiliation in the process. Here's how I think it played out in the future. When Jesus was here some 500 years after Esther, he tells Satan to get behind him. Strange sounding words for sure. Some days later, Satan is found hanging around a barren fig tree, reminiscent of his affinity with the tree in the Garden of Eden. Jesus then curses Satan, effectively trapping him inside that tree. And I personally believe it is the very tree the Romans choose to crucify Jesus on. Thus, Satan finds himself literally behind Jesus, forced to witness the Son of God dying for the sins of all mankind. Like Haman, Satan is utterly humiliated and suffers the worst possible outcome, his defeat sealed with a curse. After all, cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree. Because Persian laws could not be revoked, Esther persuades the king to issue a new edict, this one allowing the Jews to defend themselves on their fateful day. The Jews not only defend themselves successfully, but also kill the 10 sons of Haman in the process. This great and mighty victory becomes known as Purim. Yes, named for the lots, the dice, the ironic symbol of chance. The holiday is observed with feasting and gladness, days for sending gifts of food to one another and gifts to the poor. And so Mordecai becomes the king's right-hand man. Here we are at the end of the story, amazed at all the so-called coincidences. Out of thousands of beautiful women, the one Jewish girl, Esther, is chosen. Mordecai is in the right place at the right time to perform a meritorious deed. Out of thousands of books on his shelf, the king just happens to choose the one mentioning Mordecai. What a mighty God we serve. He is the force, the energy, the man behind our curtain of 4 dimensions. He holds your script in his hand as he orchestrates your life with the free will you're convinced you have. But as we eat the Bible, perhaps we know better now. Yes?